This is the video for lesson 9.3 where we are going to talk about a transformation called reflection. If you take a look at the terms that we want to learn or recognize for this particular lesson, we see reflection, line of reflection, and we have a theorem that just states that reflection is an isometry. And as I stated in the previous video, size and shape do not change when we're doing a transformation that is an isometry. So let's go back up and look at the word reflection. A reflection is a transformation that uses a line like a mirror to reflect an image. So we're going to be using a line of reflection, and that line is going to act like a mirror to reflect an image. That image should be the exact same shape and the exact same size, but it's going to be on the other side of the line that you're given in that particular problem. And we're going to look at several different lines. So let's take a look at the line y equals x. I have the line y equals x highlighted in green, and the slope of this line is positive. So let's go ahead and use each point in the figure, the quadrilateral here, A, B, C, and D. And I'm going to do this example so that you can see whenever you have a line of reflection that is this positive sloping line, we're going to go about this in a certain way. So what I would like you to do, let's start at point A, and I want you to count to the right, since we have the line of reflection over there to the right. Count the number of units that you have to go to get to that line of reflection. Okay, so how many units is that? From point A over to that line of reflection is 6 units, and therefore we need to go down from the line of reflection 6 units as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where I'm going to plot my A prime point. Okay, A prime means that we're creating an image point here, and if we do all 4 points, we're going to end up with another quadrilateral that is exactly the same shape but on the other side of this positively sloping line. So starting at point B, how many units away from the green line is B? 1, 2. That means then that we need to go down 1, 2 from the green line, and that's where I'm going to plant my B prime. So please count for point C how many units from the green line, and then plot that down from the green line as well. Do the same thing for point D. Okay, now I have my C prime and D prime points plotted. I'm going to go ahead and connect those so that you can see that's the exact same figure. Alright, so now that I have my prime points plotted and I connected them all, you should be able to see that we have the exact same figure. If we were to fold this graph on that green line, we would see point B set on top of B prime, point A set on top of point A prime. So basically what you want to think of the line of reflection as is a place where you would fold the graph so that the two figures would lay exactly on top of each other. Okay, so if we do this same thing with the line of reflection that is negative, in this case we have the y equals negative x line. Well, all we'll have to do for these 4 points, for this trapezoid that we have, is we have to count to the left instead, because we have points over on the right. So if I start with T, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. I arrive at the line of reflection, and then I have to go down from that point the same number of units. So if I went over 4, I'm going to go down 4. And there I have my T prime, because I did go down 4, and point P prime, P lies on the line of reflection, and therefore P prime is also going to be on that line of reflection. So we don't have to move anywhere if the point is on the line of reflection. So I do have to do this for point A though. If you start over here at point A, how many units away from the green line, that's the line of reflection, is point A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm going to go down 6 from that point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's my point A prime. I should probably make P prime red also, just because it's the image point. And then if I do that for point R, I have to count over how many units away R is from the green line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that means I have to go 7 units down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And this is where I'm going to plot R prime. Make sure you label your points, please, with a capital letter. And of course, the image points are going to be those that have the little apostrophe after them. Let me go ahead and connect these points. And you should see the exact same image, but on the other side of that green line of reflection. Again, the line of reflection, if you used it to fold the piece of paper or the graph itself, all the points would line up on top of the other ones, or on top of the original ones. Alright, just a reminder that as you're watching this video, if you need to stop the video at any time or rewind the video, that would be completely up to you, but I think it's a benefit of watching the video and getting the most out of it. Of course, if you have questions, use the sides of the paper or the bottom of the paper to write those questions down that you might have that maybe you didn't think I covered in the video well enough. So we're going to take a look at these other two reflecting type problems here. We want to reflect. This time we're going to reflect over a different line, and it's going to be this vertical line right here. It tells us in the directions to reflect the figure over the y-axis. Now I've highlighted the y-axis in green. Remember, this is the y-axis. And right down here I have the current points already written in for you. And to reflect over a vertical line like the y-axis might be a little bit easier actually, because we just have to count the number of units to that green line once again. 1, 2, 3. Now I did notice that we have different units here, and I think that was the same on the previous two graphs, but I'm just counting the number of lines really. Of course, as you see with the ordered pairs, point A is at 6, 8, so therefore each one of these units is 2. However, I'm just counting the number of times I have to go over, and then I'm going to go past that line of reflection the same number of units. So once I get to the line of reflection, same number of units past there, that's where I'm going to plot my image point. That's A prime right there. Alright, how many places away is B? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so I have to go past the line of reflection, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where B prime is going to be plotted. So I hope that in the video here where I'm showing the blue lines and the red lines, at least you don't have to draw those lines in. I'm just showing it because I'm trying to point out, you can't see my hand gesturing, so I'm drawing those lines on the page. So just keep in mind that you're going to the line of reflection and the same number of units past that. So I've completed C prime and D prime points here, and I've shaded in my new image. And I think if you were to fold this graph on the green line, you would see that your new points line up exactly with the original points. So if we were to write in the ordered pair for A prime, it would be -6, +8. Looking at the original point, what is the only difference between these two? What's the only difference between A and A prime? Well, it looks like the x value is the opposite sign, because now the x value is negative. So let's see if that's true for the other 3 points as well. I've written in the ordered pairs for B prime, C prime, and D prime, and if you look, the only change that you're noticing is the negative sign in front of the x value, and that's because we used the y-axis to reflect the figure. So when we use the y-axis, the x value gets a new sign, right? So we're going to change the sign on the x value when we reflect over the y-axis. So what could you predict is going to happen when we go to reflect over the x-axis? If we reflect over the x-axis, we're going to change the sign of the y value. And here's the x-axis, and I'm going to need to reflect over it. So when I draw that line in, it's just to keep me on task to try to, help me count to that line that I've highlighted. So point B is just one space. It's 2 units because we see that the units are marked with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. But we have to go one past it now. We're going to come down here and plot B prime. Okay, so we're 2 units below that line of reflection. Let's do the same thing for point A. So for point A, we were at -6, -10. We're going up 10 units, and then we have to go past that line of reflection another 10 units in order to get our A prime point. That's going to be way up here. And then if you take a look at where C is, we're 8 units below the x-axis. If we go up 8 to the line of reflection, then we have to go another 8 to get to the new image point. So again, we're just going to go ahead and connect these three, A prime, B prime, and C prime. And now here is our new reflection image. And if we look at the original, it is actually up here, isn't it? So we have a little bit of overlap just at the tip of those two triangles, but that's because that line of reflection cuts through them at an equal point. So now if we take a look at where the points are, A prime is at -6, +10, and B prime is at -4, -2, right? We're -2 in the y. And then C prime is actually at -2, +8. So again, because we were reflecting over the x-axis, the sign of the y value changed. So we're going to change the sign of the y value when we reflect over the x-axis. On the back of your paper, there are some here for you to try on your own. I gave you a practice problem here. I'd like you to kind of highlight or figure out a way to really draw attention to the y-axis for yourself and in this problem, and go ahead and graph those A prime, B prime, and C prime points just like I had demonstrated in the previous 2 images or 2 graphs. And then this one, I want you to really look at the x-axis. So draw attention for yourself in some way that that's the x-axis. In class, we'll use some colored pencils to identify the line of reflection. So try those out on your own, please, and then make sure you have those done so that when I check your work, it is complete and you can get a stamp. The next 2 graphs give you a specific line to reflect over, and let's take a look at where y equals -2 is. Y equals -2 is this line right here. Remember, y is equal to -2 along that entire line. So that's the line you're going to use for the line of reflection in that graph. And then I'm also going to ask you to do a line of reflection of x equals 2. And remember, x is equal to 2 all up and down this entire line. So please try these on your own as well. go ahead and plot the points. All you're doing is counting the number of units to that line of reflection and going past the line of reflection the same number of units. In these last three problems, we've been given the original image, which is right here, and the new image. So we have A prime, B prime, and C prime down here, and what we need to do is find the line of reflection. So we have to decide how far apart are these two triangles. Well, between C and C prime, how many units are there? It looks like there are 4. So if we take 4 and divide by 2, we get 2. So the distance between those two points should just be 2 units from the line of reflection. And what do we call that line that I just drew in blue? That is the y equals -2 line. And so that's the line of reflection. If we folded this graph on that line y equals -2, those two triangles would lie directly on top of each other. Okay, so what would we have in terms of the line of reflection in this second problem? Well, it looks like C and C prime are touching on that line of reflection, and so therefore the line of reflection is just the y-axis because we didn't go anywhere from C to C prime. It's just right on the y-axis. And then the third one is a little bit challenging because the points are so far away from each other and it looks like there's an L shape between them. And that's because the line of reflection is actually the y equals x line. Okay, so that's our line of reflection. The y equals x line is the line of reflection in this case. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please write them down and ask in class. Make sure you do try those 4 problems that I asked you to try on your own. Thanks a lot for watching.